Welcome back to Business on City News 570, powered by Cowan Insurance. As God would have it, we're joined by one of our favorite Cowan people, and we have lots of favorite at Cowan, but Lindsay Reid, and of course, she's a pension and retirement consultant at Cowan Insurance Group. And Gregory, one of the things that we always try to do for you and our listeners, but especially for you, is to make you more literate on any number of subjects. Today, we're going to do financial literacy because especially when things are as tough as they are, inflation's up, interest rates are going up, cost of living with your rent, everything, how you're saving for your kids' education and your own retirement. It's important to understand your finances, and so financial literacy is important for everyone listening. And Lindsay's gonna help us get you smartened up.
Lindsay, this is one of my favorite subjects because we had a program here at the Chamber for a number of years that we actually did right across the country. It was called Funny Money. It was a financial literacy program that we took to high school students. And the reason we took it to high school students was we wanted to have these kids to get a clear understanding of how important recognizing the value of preparing yourself for transition in your life, which might be from work to retirement, at the earliest age you possibly can. Because if you invested $1.50 years ago, the dollar is going to be worth a lot more today than it would be if you invested it 5 years ago. So, but it's one of my favorite subjects because I think, sadly, we don't spend enough time in our education system talking about it. And these kids, what's the first thing that happens when a kid goes on a college or university campus? The credit card salesperson comes up to them and wants to get them a credit card, and teaching them bad habits. So let's talk first about financial literacy. What really is that? And what do people need to understand about being wise and financially literate?
Yeah, so we really are hearing so much about financial literacy these days. And in fact, the whole month of November is actually dedicated to the topic of financial literacy. And when you think about the technical definition of financial literacy, which is to have the knowledge, skills, and confidence to make responsible or sound financial decisions, it's obvious to see why there is so much emphasis around this subject. From a workplace or employer perspective, it's so important to provide support and resources for all three pillars of wellness, being physical, mental, and financial, because they are so closely connected. And I'll give an example here. Mindfulness is when you're able to bring your attention to the present moment without judgment or evaluation. And this is a skill you can develop through things like meditation or yoga, or really any activity that positively impacts your mental health. So mindfulness has a positive effect on sleep and therefore on overall physical health. And when you feel well, you can focus on the present and think clearly. When you think clearly, you're more likely to access tools and supports available to you, putting you in the right mindset to manage things such as your finances. And then being clear on your financial situation helps you feel more empowered about your future. So you can see how the cycle and how one pillar of well-being is so closely tied to all others. If one facet of well-being is lacking, it really does impact the other two. And I think we've talked before about the ripple effect that financial wellness has on worker productivity and the ability to focus. So for the business owners and HR professionals out there, providing support to your employees for all three of these pillars isn't something you want to skim over. It really should be at the center of what you do.
One of the things, and I think that is important, if you're going to have a productive employees who are engaged in the work during their time when they are working, you can't forget that they still have families and aging parents and got to pay bills, and they have all of the same stresses that everyone else has. And I think that's an important point. So you've said what is it? Why it's important is for some of those physical and mental reasons. But also, I wonder, is it also important so that people are asking themselves the right questions? Because everyone has to make choices. There's not many of us that have a limitless salary or financial means. So we have to choose what we're doing and how much we're putting into retirement and what we're doing for our kids' education as example, what are you doing with those leisure like holidays, etc. Is this kind of financial literacy, does it give you the tools to kind of say what's the right balance, what's my risk tolerance, and where should I be making the choices so that I'm making sound financial decisions?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it helps give you the confidence to make those difficult decisions. And I think like a really common question that people ask when they understand the importance of it is how can you improve your financial wellness or your financial well-being? And that's something that I'm really passionate about. I think financial well-being actually improved during the pandemic with people using that time to build savings and pay down debt. But last year, the progress we made sort of reversed course due to those darn rising interest rates and record high inflation. So people have had to make really hard decisions about their spending and their long-term savings goals. And actually, Manulife came out with a financial stress survey very recently that revealed that more than 4 in 10 Canadian workers are unhappy with their financial situation. So coming back to that question, what can we do to drive financial well-being? Because like we've mentioned, workers' financial stress follows them to the workplace and comes at a cost to employers in the form of absenteeism and lost productivity. The good news is that workers see the workplace as a potential source of help and feel better about their finances when they, one, work with a financial advisor, 2, have access to workplace financial wellness resources, and then 3, when they review and engage with their retirement plan regularly. So offering a comprehensive retirement program and connecting employees to trusted advice and guidance has really been proven to help workers confidently navigate events outside their control and keep their financial lives on track.
You know, we used to have 3 components to our presentation. It was know your flow, understanding how money comes into your life, you know, as young kids, comes from all different directions. Know who you owe, understanding the amount of debt that you owe and how you proportion that to the income coming into your life. And then the last segment was invest some dough. And the earlier you start, the better you're going to be in the end. So it's all good advice, and you need a Lindsay Reid on your side taking care of you.
Absolutely. Greg just pulls it all together in a bowl right there. Important if whoever you're with, whether you're an employer, thinking about how to give those tools and resources through a retirement and pension specialist. And in this case, for all those chamber members, Cowan and our friend Lindsay would be a great resource for you. So reach out to the good folks at Cowan Insurance Group. Thanks so much for joining us today, Lindsay.
Thanks so much for having me, guys.
We've been joined by our good friend, Lindsay Reid. She's a pension and retirement consultant at Cowan Insurance Group.